My name's Heidi Childs, and this is my persuasive speech. My topic is organ donation. We cannot live only for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us to our fellow man. This is a quote by Herman Melville that I think gets to the heart of the issue with organ donation. I'm here today to share with you my views about organ donation and also the process of how to become a donor. I think it is the right decision, and I would hope that this presentation would give you some more information to think about if you are considering becoming an organ donor. At any given moment in the U.S., there are 79,000 people on the waiting list to receive organ transplants, and 10% of those are children. We are all in the same boat of being dependent on our vital organs, and we are all potential organ recipients. Organs that can be donated and transplanted include the heart, intestines, pancreas, kidneys, liver, and lungs. Tissue can also be donated as well. These tissues include eyes, bones, fascia, muscles, tendons, and heart valves. A single donor can save 8 lives with their gift of organ donation. By choosing to register as an organ donor, you can give the gift of life to someone who has no other second chance. You're their last chance. And if the unthinkable happens to you, it's nice to know that you can give a gift that lives on through your gift of organ donation. I want to share with you a way in which organ donation has touched my personal life. I have a friend whose 3-year-old son tragically died in a drowning accident a few years ago, and I just wanted to share a little bit about him. This is Garrett. He died on July 14th, 2014, and his parents made the heartbreaking decision to use his organs and give the gift of life to people that were awaiting organ transplants. I emailed his mother asking permission to share his story, and she said, yes, absolutely. The lives that Garrett has saved has been the only bright spot in what have been 2 tragic years of them trying to deal with the grief of losing their son. So I wanted to share with you a portion of a post that she posted in a blog that she writes called Living for Garrett. And this is about her friendship and newfound relationship with the recipient of Garrett's kidneys. So I'm going to read a little piece of that for you. All right. Just a few days before Garrett's 4th birthday, we received a card and a note from the recipient of Garrett's kidneys. Nothing long or fancy, but I wanted to touch base. I came home from running errands and I felt painfully sad. I miss Garrett so much. But I checked my email, and to my astonishment, there was an email from SG. That is how she refers to the woman who received her son's kidneys. I read it again and again with tears streaming down my face. She told us what her life was like before July 14th, 2014, and how it has changed since. She told me that she keeps a picture of Garrett in her wallet at all times, and that she keeps 3 others on her mantle. I can't describe what I'm feeling right now, but bittersweetness sums it up pretty well. I pray that this is the beginning of a lifelong friendship. So that's just a personal note, someone that I know that has been touched by organ donation. I also wanted to address a few myths about organ donation. These are things that might keep people who are on the fence about organ donation from going ahead and registering, which are all understandable and real real fear, so I wanted to talk about those and address those. Myths about organ donation. Myth number 1, I can't have an open casket if I'm an organ donor. This is generally false. Depending on the extent of injuries prior to organ donation, you can almost always have an open casket. Organs are harvested using standard surgical techniques. The sutures are made in discrete places that can be covered by clothing for a viewing at a funeral. And even donors that donate things like their eyes and their bones, prosthetics are available and can be used so that you can still have an open casket, no matter what kind of organ donor you choose to be. Myth number 2, my religion might not approve of my organ donation. So while it's recommended that you consult with your spiritual leader if you have questions about spiritual practices and beliefs about organ donation and your church's policies and beliefs, several of the world's major religions have released statements in favor of organ donation. So I just wanted to share a few of those with you. First is Catholicism. Pope John Paul II says, organ, eye, and tissue donation is considered an act of charity and love, and transplants are morally and ethically acceptable to the Vatican. Next is Islam. The Fourth Conference of the Islamic Council determined that transplantation, when done in a manner that preserves human dignity, is permissible from a dead person to a living person whose life is or basic essential functions depend on that organ. Next is Judaism. In principle, Judaism sanctions and encourages of eye, organ, and tissue donation in order to save lives have been made by Rabbi Elliot N. Dorff. He wrote that transplantation does not desecrate a body or show a lack of respect for the dead. Organ donation saves lives and honors the deceased. And the last one I wanted to share is Mormons. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints recognizes that the donation of organs and tissues is a selfless act. And the decision to be an organ donor is made by the individual or the deceased family. Myth number 3 is medical staff will not try as hard to save my life if they are aware that I am an organ donor. This is also false. The first priority of medical personnel is to save the lives of their patients. Organ and tissue donation is not even discussed until death has occurred or is very imminent. Furthermore, the organ and tissue recovery donations, particularly here in Utah, Intermountain Donor Services, is the only agency that has access to your information on the Utah Donor Registry. So it's a separate group of people who are responsible for your health care and then later on your possible organ donation. So it's not really a concern or a valid fear to worry that your life won't be saved because it's separate groups of people. All right. Registering as an organ donor is simple. Here in Utah, you can just go to yesutah.org and complete the form. I was researching this a little bit earlier this week, and I am happy to say that I registered myself, and I can attest that it took 90 seconds for me to do so. They sent me an email, I'm registered, and it's as simple as that. In closing, I wanted to share a quote by Barack Obama. He says, by becoming an organ donor, one person can save lives of up to 8 people and improve the lives of dozens, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, brothers and sisters who are desperately in need of a transplant. We lift up the thousands of selfless individuals across the nation. I hope I've shared some new information with you and that you will consider registering as an organ donor. You haven't really lived until you've done something for someone who can never repay you. It's wonderful to know that even if the unthinkable happens, your gift of life gives on. Thank you.